Welcome to the Anxiety Slayer series. Our mission is to assist you with creating more peace and tranquility in your life through anxiety release exercises and supportive tools created to slay your anxiety.
In this podcast, I'll be talking about the chaotic nature of anxiety attacks and how you can protect yourself from getting swept away by the awful thoughts and physical symptoms that anxiety can suddenly manifest. Anyone who suffered an anxiety attack knows that one of the most disturbing things is its very definite physical presence. You might be feeling fine one minute and then feel completely overwhelmed by a suddenly racing pulse or pounding heart the next. Some anxiety sufferers become dizzy and feel like they might faint. Some have trouble catching their breath or feel they might choke. And some fear that they might lose control completely or even die. Anxiety causes such chaos in the body that your mind develops a strong reaction to the event and will do all it can to protect you from it happening again. Unfortunately, the way the mind does this is by creating fear of the fear. Fear is okay if it manifests as wariness on the edge of a cliff or caution when using hot ovens, but it becomes a big problem when it develops in response to an internal event, which is exactly what an anxiety attack is. Your mind will prompt you to avoid any place or situation where you've experienced anxiety, and this avoidance is your mind's way of trying to protect you. It's the once bitten, twice shy nature of the mind to start eliminating any place or situation that's caused you suffering in the past. It's the same thing as a phobic response. If something scares you intensely once, your mind will try and protect you by keeping you wary of that thing to keep you safe from harm. The trouble with anxiety and phobias is their all-pervasive nature. The mind becomes so scared that you're going to have that horrible experience again that it starts making anxious predictions. And it doesn't just contain it to the one area where it happened before. It starts thinking, what happens if I have an anxiety attack here? What happens if I pass out during my presentation? I could crash the car if it happens when I'm driving. In exactly the same way that a person who's terrified of spiders might start looking at all the possible places a spider could be lurking. Instead of anxiety being contained and the rest of your life feeling broad and positive, your mind will feed you anxious thoughts that soon have your life boxed in by the threat of repeat episodes. Everything shrinks, and the world of the anxiety sufferer becomes small and dark. In reality, anxiety is like dramatic weather. Like a big thunderstorm or a whirlwind, anxiety rears up and wreaks absolute havoc, but then it passes. And one of the most self-supporting things you can do in managing anxiety is to understand this, that it strikes and it leaves. I remember my daughter being afraid of thunder and us trying various things to help her feel safe and more relaxed. Eventually, we discovered that she was most comfortable with settling on an explanation that sounded okay with her. She decided that she'd think of thunder as the noise clouds made when they bumped into each other. End of thunder fear. What was previously something really scary became a natural event that could be accepted without upset, and nothing changed but her way of thinking about it. Those who know how to guide the mind into more resourceful thinking call this reframing, and it's a very effective way of getting more comfortable with unpleasant thoughts. Reframing can be of great help to you in managing panic attacks. The first thing to understand is that although anxiety sweeps into the body suddenly and causes really unpleasant symptoms, it will not hurt you. It feels like it will, but it won't. Animals can remain scared of thunder for their entire lives because they don't have the rational intelligence to reframe things. But you do. You can change your thinking, and you can reduce the intensity of a panic attack with the power of your understanding. Here are some tips to help you. 1. Catch it early. By developing increased awareness of the early stages of an anxiety attack, you can protect yourself from the shock of an episode that's already gathered momentum beneath the level of your conscious awareness and suddenly blows up in your face. Most people will jump if they hear a sudden clap of thunder when they didn't notice a storm was coming, but those who noticed the atmosphere change and saw the darkening clouds are ready for the storm and won't be shocked by it. When you notice the early warning symptoms of your anxiety, you get the chance to diffuse it before it builds to the level of a storm. The earlier you notice any signs of discomfort, the earlier you can take action. That action might be using the quick anxiety stopper or one of the breathing techniques you can find outlined on our website. An anxiety attack is your body shouting at you that it needs help. When you develop awareness and catch things early, you'll get the message early when it's being spoken or even whispered, and when you act at that time, you can help your body feel heard before it needs to shout. In other words, when you can notice the early warning signs of anxiety, and you know some effective calming tools that you can swing into action fast, you can avoid being caught out in the storm. Number 2, make time to diffuse stress daily. To be really thorough in managing your anxiety, it's helpful to spend a few minutes every day discharging stress or anxiety from your body before they get the chance to build up into something more pressing. Number 3, practice supportive self-talk for when anxiety strikes. If you do find yourself caught out by a panic attack, remember the power of reframing and be prepared to talk yourself through it by thinking of it as just a passing storm. Try and step back and observe it as you might observe the weather. Just watch and wait it out. Don't let anxiety sweep you up in its drama. Slow your breath and tell yourself that this will pass and you will be okay. By keeping yourself mentally calm and centered, you can prevent anxiety from escalating. What tends to happen with an anxiety spike is that we get caught up in the symptoms of anxiety and start imagining all the things that could go wrong. We picture the things that we so desperately don't want to happen, and that makes us more anxious, which produces more adrenaline, and before we know it, we're spiraling out of control. Remember, an anxiety attack won't hurt you, and it won't last forever. It comes and it goes, and the more you protect yourself by building the mental equivalent of a storm bunker, by using tools that can help you control and overcome your anxiety, the stronger and calmer you will feel.
Are you ready to take action against your anxiety? Enroll in the Anxiety Slayer Academy now, and you can get started today. Visit anxietyslayer.com/support.